clearly.
What did you say about Ugarte?
Listen to me clearly. I don't do this. I don't swear to God. But Ilan Kudarte, if you guys see me on any stream making excuses, I'm a nahab. I will never make excuses. My team has gone out and signed 7 players. We've gone out and signed 7 players. We've signed 3 level raisers. I believe my team is the best team in the goddamn league.
And that's fair enough.
If they don't win the league, I will hold them accountable. You don't have to hold me accountable.
No, that's fair enough. No, you know, it's fair. You're backing your team.
We'll still hold you accountable, and then you can hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, even. Good afternoon. Welcome back to We Are the South Stand. Myself and my good friend, the Sheikh. How are you, bro? What time is it over there, by the way? Is it lunchtime over there?
Yeah, it's almost 12:30. We got started a little late today.
We did. We were going to
had some business we had to take care of. You know?
Right. Do you know what? I was gonna warm into showing you something, but now after you've done that to me, right, I'm gonna hit you with this, you American.
Pressure, but when a World Cup comes, we're expecting a win for the USA. We're here to support you to get that done.
Fuck me, dude.
Have you seen that? What is she doing?
I don't know, dude.
Surely someone must tell these people before they put them out there, but
I don't know. The bar is low.
Let's hope. I saw another one that Tom Brady apparently has said that the reason that all American football needs to get it good is a phenom like your mouth. But it's like, oh, okay, no one's thought of that before, you know?
Yeah, just pick them off a tree, you know?
yeah, exactly. But anyway, this is going to be a lot calmer show than the last couple, people. I'm even going to try, we're going to touch on it a little bit, but I'm going to try and not talk too much on transfers on this one because it's all we seem to be talking about. People, please make sure you are going and checking out the sponsors, okjersey.com. As you can see by the side, that's just an example of some of the jerseys they do there. £15 a piece. Go and check it out. Not just Manchester City as well. They're literally, I was even checking earlier for a friend of mine. They sell Leeds shirts, right? So they've got everyone. They're covering all angles. Go and check them out. Anyway, firstly, how are you? How the family? How's the week going?
Everything's good, man. I think the kid is in that phase where he just cries. You know,
right, okay.
I think they call it the witching hour. Have you heard of this?
We had when my daughter was, for the first 3 months she was that, and we were told by everyone that it's called colic, right?
Okay, yeah.
But it actually wasn't. We then found out she was dairy intolerant, so we would like literally.
Oh my god!
We were giving her non-stop milk for ages, and then wondering why she was like crying her eyes out, and it's like, oh. It's like basically someone feeding me bananas. I'm allergic to bananas, by the way. It's like someone feeding me bananas all day long and then wondering why I'm upset. That's kind of what we're doing. But yeah, it's not a nice time, is it? Not a nice time.
No. So sometimes at night it's tough. You know, he has a tough time kind of falling asleep. But we'll get through it. It's not that big of a deal, as I'm sure you know. Yeah.
You got to enjoy it. Right, but. The game last week, did you enjoy that?
Oh man, dude, it was great. You know, I've been so excited about the season to start just because how long can we sit in front of our little, our phones or our desktops, laptops, and just be reading tweets about transfers and arguing about Pep is going to do this, Pep isn't going to do this. Like everybody has an opinion, but at the end of the day, everything goes out the window or out the door when the players actually play.
That was it. Yeah, that was exactly how I felt. It was like, I've been saying all summer, I'm going to judge Pep based on this season. I'm not going to judge him based on last season. I'm going to judge him, and I should know within the first 10 games or not if I think, and I just, it's a lot of things I wanted to see. And like before the game, there was a few people, I did a watch along, there's a few people in there saying, I blame Pep. So once the line out had come out, a few people saying, I blame Pep for this failure, right? And I was like, a ball hasn't been kicked and you're calling the game a failure. That kind of tells you that you might have a bit of an agenda going into this game, right?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was a bit of a shaky first 15, 20 minutes, but
yeah, you saw the tweets. People were saying that it's same shit as last year. All of that. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that it was hard for me to think of a bad performance after. I was kind of running through the entire lineup, and I was like, all the new guys were good. John Stones was good. It's like the only like bad performance, and I wouldn't say it was bad. Quiet is more the word that I would use. Was probably Doku. And
yeah,
everyone else.
Seen you've been. Do you know what? I've seen you've been defending his performance a little bit online. Now, the mad thing is with Doku, right? So my take on the game, the opening 15, 20 minutes, I actually think Doku might have been one of our better players, right?
They kept trying to get the ball to him, yeah.
And there was one or two moments where I saw him get the ball. And it's weird because in training, when I went to the open training with Doku, I saw him try a few different things. So I saw him firstly, whereas usually, he's just head down, try and get to the line. I saw him stop and actually, pass the ball back, then make a run to receive the ball back again behind the defense. And I saw him even doing it the other way, him feeding someone else. In the opening 10 or 15 minutes, there were one or two moments where I saw him get the ball and the first thing he did was look up. And I was like, oh, that's different. But then sadly, and, people say they did double up on him, but then when they doubled up on him, it's kind of like it became, and I think you're probably right to say that.
It's tough, man. Doku is like, and especially if you look at the way that Wolves were attacking us, it's like that right-hand side, especially with how kind of when Aït-Nouri gets going, marauding forward, there's so much space on that side.
Yeah, there really is.
And if he's not overlapping, then Doku doesn't have that security blanket on his left,
Yeah.
So, and then if they're double, triple teaming him, you wouldn't want Doku to try and take on other players, especially when you like. If the rest of the team, if Oscar Bobb is operating the way he did and Rijnders has all that freedom to operate he does, there's a reason why it's like that. It's because the attention is elsewhere. So if Doku's getting all that attention and Ran has to sit back to defend the counter, which he did have to do, you look at Ran's defensive stats from that game, he had the most tackles he had a phenomenal defensive game. So if you look at that left-hand side versus right-hand side, that right-hand side was cooking. Bobb and Rico on the right-hand side, two of probably our best players in the match. So if that right-hand side is doing that well, the left-hand side doesn't have to do as much. And if we get a clean sheet, that means they did their job. So the way that I looked at it is like, he wasn't bad. It was just quiet.
Do you know what? I think that's a good way of looking at it. That, it's like the natural thing at the moment with some of us, and probably I do fall into it at times. I think we all do at times, is to naturally say, oh, someone had a bad game when actually they had a quiet game. And there is a difference between a bad game and a quiet game. I'll always use this as an example. Kirkes on Friday night for Liverpool had a bad game, right? We saw a lot of him. Whereas Doku, if you think about it, I didn't really see Doku do that much wrong. So it's just he was limited with the amount. And you are right that football is about balance. And if they're doubling up with Doku, then there's going to be spaces in other areas.
Exactly.
There's going to be space in other areas of the pitch, which then allows Bobb and Rico to shine on the right-hand side. It's a really balanced way of looking at it when you put that. I didn't think of it that way, so that's why I need you to me.
If you think about Rijnders, right? Everyone talks about how Rijnders is a Gundo replacement in terms of box crashing, right? If you look at the freedom he had and also the positions that Bernardo took up on the pitch and how much range he covers, like, they're in that same inside, I don't know the terminology, that little inside area on the left-hand side of the box that Doku usually likes to cut into. You have all that space, and Doku is he's not a touchline winger. We all know this. We don't want him isolated on the touchline, but he was. And on the case of Aït-Nouri, it's like, I see someone in the chat saying that, Aït-Nouri was sloppy in defense. This guy, he had more tackles than any player in the Premier League this weekend. He committed 0 fouls and wasn't dribbled past once in the entire game. Like, from a left back, what more do you want? We had a clean sheet. So, like, literally, what more do you want? Most tackles, wasn't dribbled past once, 0 fouls, clean sheet.
See, I'm another one that during that game, right? So I'll be completely honest with you, bro, because I'm fine to be wrong on things, yeah. So I watched the game while having a drink, and then after the game, I kind of did a quick match reaction, and I said I felt that Nico Gonzalez. I don't know how good a game Nico Gonzalez had. that was based on the fact that I saw us giving the ball away a lot in the midfield in the first half, right? And I just pinned it on him, right? I was wrong. When I've seen the stats afterwards, I was wrong. Same with Aitnori. I wasn't too sure how good Aitnori had been. Now, with those two players, they're both defensive players. I didn't see much of them, right? And that's my go-to is didn't see much of them, right? Maybe they didn't have that good a game. However, if you are a defensive player and I don't see much of you,
that's good.
That's a good sign. So, and I was wrong on both of them because now when the stats have come out for both of them, they're actually statistically defensively, probably two of our best players. So
yeah. And you bring up a good point though, because in the beginning it was very chaotic, wasn't it? It was kind of like all over the place. And then if you look at Nico's duel numbers, the one thing I will criticize him on is that he won. He was the only player in the entire league to reach double figures for ground duels in game week 1.
Right, yeah.
He had 10
in the whole of
in entire league. So he had 10. While there is the perspective of like, of course you wanted to win your duels. Pep has said that he's actually a better duel winner than Rodri. You know, that being said, if every touch becomes a duel, that's also not a good thing, especially as a defensive midfielder. You know, you want that stability. You don't want to be dueling all the time. If you, in the same vein of what you said of like, if your defenders are quiet, if Nico has a somewhat quiet game and he's not noticed as a DM, in my opinion, that's not necessarily the worst thing. It's just we're used to Rodri taking over games, scoring bangers, you know, having assists and whatnot. And but in general, it's like I think it worked. I think it wasn't perfect, but you know, early season jitters out of the way, and the fact that you know Rijnders, Ryan Aitnori, and then Nico, and then who was James Trafford. All 4 of our new guys played extremely well, considering the fact that it was their first home outing for us, you know.
And also as a unit, as a defensive unit, so I took away from it defensively, right? And let's park Rico for a minute because I think Rico is a bit different because I think, you know, Rico in that role and that type of game, he wasn't a defender, right? I don't. That game there is the perfect type of game for Rico to basically go and sit in midfield and kind of work in the pockets that he likes to work in. But defensively, I said after the game, we just seem to be moving more of a unit a bit. And I don't know if it was Trafford. I don't know if it's the fact that we've got Ruben Diaz and John Stones back together. They know how to defend together. They know how to hold the line together. They know how to move forward together. They are 2 centre-backs that know one another very well. Or I don't know if it's Kolo Touré or maybe even James French's influence. But either way, the offside trap was different. We were better at it. And that, for me, I think for most of us, we would agree. I know we all want our shiny toys going forward and we all want new wingers and whatever else. But I think all of our biggest concern going into this season deep down is defensively. So to see and also as for Trafford, I just think it was, you know, it's not a game that you're going to go, oh my God, Trafford was unbelievable, right?
It's just solid.
But he did everything that was asked of him well. And one thing that he seems to command his box well, comes off his line really, really well. And there was one save that he made that I really liked because of how far away from the goal he pushed the ball. Yeah. Well, he didn't push it in front of him. It was nearly, I think it might have even gone out for a throw-in. And that's that's the difference when goalkeepers can do things like that because they know this isn't just about saving now. This is about clearing the box and getting the danger away from it. Yeah. So no, I thought it was really, really good performance from Trafford. But Rico, you said to me you wanted to talk about Rico, so.
Yeah, I think that it's a 2-part conversation. Rico is part of it, and I think that the defense is part of it. You know, we're seeing in the chat, people are talking about, you know, concerns about the defense. And obviously last year, our defense was in shambles. You know, we conceded, I think, double the amount of goals that we have in the highest goal tally in under Pep while he's been at City, you know. So when you look at our defense, right, and you look at what we have kind of going forward into the season and how we can improve, I think one thing that I wanted to touch upon is as a collective, the way we defend is not your traditional just shutting people out. It's not, you know, just I'm going to be a big burly guy and I'm just going to muscle it. That's not how we operate. We defend by keeping possession.
Yep.
When the opposition cannot touch the ball, they cannot score. The biggest reason why our defense was so bad last season was obviously because of defensive injuries. You know, if you have Rico Lewis, Jemai Simpson-Pusi, and a one-legged Akanji going up against Gyökeres against Sporting, they're going to have a good day. You know, and we saw what happened. It wasn't even necessary that Gyökeres had such a good performance. He just kind of feasted on a weak back line. And on top of that, you have to look at what's in front of them, because when you have Rodri, who has borderline freakish, out-of-worldly skills as a defensive midfielder, your life as a defender becomes infinitely easier. And when you remove that, it's a huge hole. And you replace him with Kovacic and Gundogan, who's also on one leg or has no legs, and then Kovacic, who isn't a 6 and just wants to carry the ball every time he touches it. He leaves gaps everywhere.
Yeah. And it's worth also saying that during the period where when we were losing the most games, we also didn't have Kovacic as well, by the way, because Kovacic got injured. And
so it's just it's like a combination of a lot of issues that just like, you know, kind of combined. And then if you look at you know, our first fixture here.
Yeah, bless him. Yeah. Is he right?
He's all right. He's probably just hungry. If you look at our first fixture this season, and you look at our biggest issues from last season, I would say it's not necessarily the defense that got fixed. It's the midfield that got fixed. It's out of possession. If you look at some of the stats behind the first game, and obviously it's a very small sample size, but in the entire league, the 2 players that covered the most amount of ground in the entire league, guess who they were?
Bernardo and Rijnders. No, Gonzalez and Bernardo. Sorry.
Nico Gonzalez, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, Tijani Rijnders.
Wow, so Bernardo wasn't there.
And to me, that is music to my fucking ears.
Yeah. Real talk. Yeah, 100. I would have been convinced Bernardo would have been in there. So.
Yeah, and I think on our last show, I mentioned that I'm excited to see how Bernardo kicks on the season because he won't have to do as much.
Yeah.
You know? And Bernardo played fantastic. He was everywhere that game. He was the last man back on defense. Then he was, you know, kicking in crosses from the left and right side. Like, he covers smart ground. Now we have ground eaters, guys who can battle and duel and win possession out of possession. You know, we hear this term OOP. City needs to improve OOP. When you improve OOP, it improves the collective. And on top of that, Nico and Rijnders in midfield not only helps us win our duels, they also help us retain possession. So it's twofold. So now that we have those 2 covering the most ground, winning their duels, you think it's a coincidence that someone like John Stones come back and he partners up with Diaz. The best version of Diaz we've seen is when he was partnered with John Stones.
Yeah, facts.
Then we add a natural left back who's actually sitting instead of roaming forward. And people are surprised that we look better.
By the way, but that was also interesting that Ait-Nouri wasn't roaming forward.
No, he
wasn't.
His instructions that game specifically, and this is what I mean by, you know, Doku was bad, Ait-Nouri was bad. You know, they weren't bad. They were following instructions. And the instructions worked. When you win the way we did, in the beginning, it took a little bit for them to click. But once you kind of got the jitters out of the way, in American football, we have this saying that once you get the first hit out of the way, you get crushed once, you play better because all of the anxiety is gone. You know, and I feel like our number 1 issue is improving OOP, getting younger, more athletic. We haven't given, specifically someone like Rijnders, we haven't given away that element of being good on the ball, retaining possession, but also increased our overall athleticism and the floor level of just us playing out of possession. You know what I mean? So all in all, like you said about the collective, it looks better. And those are the 2 number 1 things, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
And so I think, you know, back to what I was saying about the defense, I think that's the theme going into this season. We are still going to concede goals on the counter here and there. It's an Achilles heel in our system. We've even seen it with Walker.
It always has been.
It always has been because we play so front-footed, you know. But Pep's philosophy is not only possession. It's not defend until we have to. But for the most part, it's let's outscore them. Yeah. You know, and we are built to outscore everyone. Any team we play against, we are built to outscore them. And that gives me confidence in not only, you know, winning games, but also maintaining our defensive structure when needed.
Yeah. I think our defensive structure was so much better. And as for Rico, I think with where Rico slotted in was, because I mean, I guess before the game we were thinking he was going to Nottingham Forest, right? It was as good as we were being told he was going to Nottingham Forest.
That was crazy.
Then he's in the lineup, but it did make sense to me why he'd be in the lineup because, you know, if you're playing with Bobb, it was very clear Bobb was going to hold the width, which then means there's no need to play Núñez because he's ultimately Aït-Nouri couldn't bomb forward because of Doku holding the width. If Bobb's holding the width on the other side, there's no room for Núñez. However, Rico Lewis inverting, it gives you an extra man in the middle of in the middle of the park.
Yeah,
right?
and Bobb is fascinating, man. I mean, like, he's so small, and like he's not like a burner or an overly athletic player, but he covers so much ground. Like the speed and acceleration at which he closes. I think a quote that Pep said was that he could press 3 players at the same time, basically. And for him to do that and to be on that right wing and invert and then play 10, it's like I knew this entire time that Rico was good.
Yeah.
I knew it. Like there's no questioning. You know, if you've seen him play in the preseason, goal winner against Newcastle, obviously at academy level he was a star. But for him to do this on match week 1 and step in like that and put in a performance like that, so some of my concerns were if we have Bobb and Rico on the right side, that is a very small right-hand side. You know, extremely physically undersized, but the kind of tenacity and the energy and just like the pressure that Bobb puts on the opposing team, like really surprised me. And I think that is a big reason why Pep felt okay putting those two on the right together, because he knows Bobb covers all that ground. And then obviously what I was saying about the OOP, having Rijnders behind him. Rijnders and Bernardo as a duo in the midfield, it's like, you know, they're going to come after you, you know, that's a lot of energy. So I think overall, the questions I had in the beginning of the game in terms of, is Rico going to get physically overpowered or is Bobb ready for this type of, you know, immediate inclusion? And realistically speaking, this was probably Bobb's season last year. You know, we probably would have seen
100%. You know? This is what we expected last year. Yeah.
So it's really, I thought he was just, it was probably one of the more impressive like debuts I've seen in a while from Bobb. You know, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think Bobb warmed into the game. I think that's the funny thing that Doku, and it does make sense with what you said, that look, and this is not slander on either player. Doku started off a bit brighter than Bobb, right? The minute they doubled up, Bobb had space, and then Bobb took advantage of that space. I think I said it last week from the Palermo game. Just watching Bobb made me realise how much I prefer Bobb to Doku and Savio. Right?
He's such a city player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he knows, and the intelligence and the speed of which he applies his decision making, like. The guy's processing speed is like a millisecond. You never see him questioning what he does it and he goes, you know?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
with Doku, you see him stop, do the shimmy, and then like I don't know if that's ever going to change. Not necessarily that it has to, but the difference between the two, and Doku is supposed to be a direct player, right? Like he's supposed to be this direct player, but man, I don't know. Like Bobb really surprised me. I'm not going to lie.
Do you know what it is? So first game, the difference between I think Bobb and the other wingers at the club we have at the moment is I was seeing him. I didn't know if he was going to go on the outside or if he was going on the inside. Right, he's taking it in turns. Second game, I mean, obviously there was that moment where he was dancing around their box. He literally had 5 players chasing after him. And I actually counted it. My apologies. I think in my match reaction, I said 6. I've gone back and watched it. Apologies, it was 5. But he had 5 defenders in the box trying to get the damn ball off him, right? Now, if that's not going to leave space, I don't know what is. But the other thing with him is it's also the simple things he does, like the weight on the pass. for the Rijnders goal, right?
After going up in the middle too, yeah, it's
the way he drove at them. I mean, him and Bobb and Rijnders, Bobb's goal and Haaland's first goal were both kind of similar in the way that Rijnders and Bobb both picked up the ball in a very similar area. And instead of a sideward passes, it was a direct run towards goal, driving at their defence. And that's something that I think last season we missed so badly, players driving with the ball. And in particular, like, if you think the power of what that is, firstly, it leads to a goal. That's powerful, right? But secondly, at the point when they happened, it's when, at 0-0, it's looking a bit shaky here. Pick up the ball and just drive forward. You get the ball out of your area, it takes all the pressure off. But I just think the simple things Bobb does, the passing, the weight of the passing, I've always said that Rico Lewis and Oscar Bobb have a really, really good chemistry down the right-hand side, right? I always remember the Crystal Palace game 2 seasons away. Crystal Palace away. Vardy got injured at half-time, and so Rico Lewis came on for him, and I think they switched over. And so Rico was playing on the right. Yeah, I'm pretty certain the defenders switched over. Rico was playing on the right-hand side with Bobb. And the chemistry they have, you can tell these players know each other. They've played with each other for a long time. But also what actually impressed me is that's just not with Rico Lewis. But I saw Bobb have it with Sheikh. I saw Bobb have it with Rijnders, right?
He's so smart, man. He's so smart.
Yeah.
And you can see that's, you know how Pep loves the big-brained players. It's just such a thing for him.
Yeah.
But to add to that intelligence, it's like the underrated athleticism. Obviously, the technical ability is one thing, and just the fact that the pressure. That's what I keep coming back to. It's like on the ball, we can see what he can do, but when we're not in possession, he's a colossus, man. I don't know none of our wingers can do what he does. I might end up, eating my own words in the future, but right now I genuinely believe he's the best pressing forward we have in the entire team.
Yeah. Yeah. Who, Bobb? I think that,
yeah,
other
than
that's
Savinho, maybe.
Yeah. Right, let's move on. Should we move on from that? Is there anyone else we need to talk about? I mean, we haven't spoke on Sheikh and Rijnders, right? But I almost feel like, do we even need to speak on them? They were both of them phenomenal. Rijnders for being phenomenal all game, right? And there's one moment, I keep mentioning this to everyone, that I loved more than his goals. It was when, in about the 50th minute, Wolves had a counter and they'd started the second half really well. And as they tried to break, Rijnders just ran into him, centre circle, took him down, took a yellow card, right? And I thought, at last we've got that back. Because last season, the amount of times we needed someone to just do that, right? And especially in that period of the second half where they've started off well, just to slow the game down and say, no, you're not countering on us, not today. That's not happening. So that moment for me, and this will be why you'll see, I love certain roles on the pitch, and like that type of shit I love, because I think we missed it last season so badly, and it shows me he just gets it. Everything about Rijnders, he just gets it, right? It's finishing. Yeah, but he is, bro. Do you know what? So I've been saying he's like Gundogan 2.0, but someone said to me the other day, and I really do get this, he is like he's like Lampard 2.0.
Ooh, I like that.
He is. When someone said it, he just knows. He knows when to be in the right place at the right time, and his driving into the box. And the other thing is, his finishing is phenomenal.
I was just about to say that.
And the other thing that people have been saying before the season started is Rijnders is not creative enough, right? But that chip that he did, I saw him do that for AC Milan last season, right? He's got that in the locker. This thing, I think, look, right now to say Lampard is a reach, yeah, I hear it. However, wait till the end of the season, right? And then let's see. I really do think he's Lampard-esque. I do. Probably more than Gundogan, I think, personally. But let's see. Right. Yeah. And as for Sheikh, completely different. He came on for 15 minutes? But it's just 15 minutes of fun.
Turkey is an interesting one because like whenever Pep has played him so far, it's really interesting to see how much freedom he gets. It's like Pep fully understands that this guy is, I freaking hate this word, but like a maverick. It's like
I've been using that this week. I've started using it this week. I can't lie. I have. I've never used the word maverick before, but this week I've used the word maverick about 8 times to talk about Turkey.
If you look at him, I mean, at one point, he received the ball in our defensive half on the left-hand side, played a 1-2, drove it into the midfield, and then all of a sudden, like, drifted over to the right-hand side in the final third.
Yeah.
I think that his two-footedness and his ability to kind of see the play before everyone else and play a pass that nobody else sees, like, you can put him legitimately anywhere in the pitch, and he'll find a way to impact, the progression of play. The only problem is when he has that amount of freedom, he needs to be able to contribute to a certain degree out of possession. What I was saying before, OOP, we keep talking about OOP, right? So to put him in the last 20 minutes of the game when we're up, 3 or 4 nothing is not a big deal. But the question is, can we afford to put him in that role at the beginning of the game against top opposition? And that's a very valid question. I think what you talked about last week in terms of his comparison with Bernardo at the 10, that's it, besides Bernardo not being as, I don't want to say good, but he's just not as freakish of a passer as Turkey is. Bernardo's effort and energy and engine everywhere else is what sets him apart, know, and until Turkey can show some bit of, I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm just saying that we haven't seen him do it yet. And can he run for 75, 80 minutes the way that Bernardo does and still maintain that offensive output? I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. So
I get it, bro. I've already had that conversation in my head about this weekend against Tottenham. Do we start Turkey or don't we?
Yeah, and there's the question remains, like, obviously the offensive impact is palpable. It's right there. It's like right in front of our faces. It's just a matter of what we were talking about in terms of balance. We use the words OOP. We also use the word balance. That applies to Turkey as well. If we were to play someone like, someone asked me if we could play a double pivot of Nico and Rodrygo and put Rijnders in front of them, right? Rijnders obviously has that playmaking instincts and whatnot.
Yeah.
He has the size. He can score. And in that sense, if those three as a midfield 3 give us a lot of size, dueling ability, coverage, all of that. But the weird thing about Bernardo is that you can put him in the same position ahead of a Rijnders and a Rodrygo or a Nico and a Rodrygo, and Bernardo will put in a shift no matter what.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If you put Turkey in that same exact position, do you feel confident that we still have that intangible of being strong out of possession right out the gate?
Right. At this point, I've got to say no. I have to say no, because if we're talking about with Bernardo, it's proven, right, over years and years and years. However, Turkey has surprised me with his energy since he's arrived at City, right? And
he's
the
buying
reason
in.
Exactly that. And it's also fair to say, of course, look, I never bought into the whole attitude thing. Never bought into that at all. However, if we're being told, oh, this guy doesn't work hard for the team, this guy's arrogant, then even if you haven't bought into it, it's going to be in the back of your head, right? So in the back of my head, I have been like, I don't know how much of a workhorse Turkey is. However, I'll be honest, everything I've seen so far, the guy doesn't stop running.
He's definitely buying in.
But it's an unknown quantity at this point. I couldn't come in and say, yep, he's as big a workhorse as Bernardo. That's unfair on any player because Bernardo, for me, is
he's a freak.
Yeah, he's a freak. Just on Bernardo as well, I just want to say how good a crosser of the ball he is as well, by the way.
So good.
Yeah,
so good.
Probably one of his underrated qualities. The fact he hasn't taken corners until this season is bizarre.
He's so underrated. He really is so underrated. Like, people say all these things about Bernardo, and at the end of the day, the one thing that I'll always see in return is that most played player under Pep. Period. More than KDB, more than anybody. He's the guy, and I feel like it's at this point the conversation of like, oh, move Bernardo out. Like, I get it. I get the question of like who do we replace, but the fact is that he doesn't really get replaced, and when he does get replaced, it's not for long. You know, like,
Yeah.
he's gonna be in there.
Yeah. No, but I thought his crossing. I think he put two, and from the left and the right. By the way, I think he put one on Haaland's head from the right, and he put one on Haaland's head from the left. His corners were good. I thought Bernardo. At one point, Bernardo lost the ball, and someone kind of was like, "Oh, Bernardo lost that, Daps," and I kind of had to say, "Yeah, but Rijnders lost one a minute ago. What are we doing? Like, if we're gonna, we have to be fair. Fair enough. He lost the ball once. Rijnders lost the ball once. So." Players lose the ball every now and again. But no, I thought it was overall good, very good performance. People, please make sure you are smashing that like button. Now, I know it's the topic everyone wants to talk about, and so I guess we've got to talk on it. Obviously, yesterday, Arsenal got Eze, which has now triggered Tottenham to, I want to say, come back in, but it seems like maybe
get their
I
shit
don't know.
together.
I mean, Tottenham are being Tottenham, aren't they? They're a unique breed of football club when it comes to doing business. How many offers they've put in so far, we don't know. But the facts are, right, Savio's agents are in the country, right? And Savio's agents flew over, right? So, because if I actually just talk facts of what I know right now, there's not too many, right? Savio is injured. That's a fact, right? Some people might say, oh, or is he? It seems convenient. Maybe, but we've got to take things at face value. By the looks of his tweets and everything, he's injured, right? And someone even said if you look at him at the end of the Palermo game, you actually could see that he was pulling. Yeah, exactly. So he's injured. That's a fact. His agents have come over to the country. Now, that is a fact, right? So if we factually know nothing else and it's all he say, she say, the one fact we do know is his agents are in the country, right? Which means that Manchester City, well, it means Tottenham must be interested.
Something, yeah. There's something going on.
There's smoke. There is smoke here. There's a fire somewhere, right? Might be very little fire, but there is a fire somewhere because I can see the smoke, right?
Yeah.
It's just right where I am. And by the way, we don't need to. I am going to ask you if you want Rodrygo, but where I am with this is that if I'm being honest with you, Eze has just cost around about 60 million, right? If I'm Tottenham, would I pay 88 million euros for Savio? I don't think I would. So I don't like Daniel Levy, right? And I can bash Daniel Levy till I'm blue in the face. However, if I put myself in Daniel Levy's shoes for 2 minutes, would I want to fork out 88 million for Savio? I don't think I would.
Okay.
Would you? Do you? I mean,
I think it's a little. I mean, for me, if I was their sporting director, the figure seems high. But if I have the money and I think about all the other factors, they need a winger really badly, badly, and they need specifically a playmaker really badly. You know,
so
now
you're
that
thinking
Madison is hurt,
around a specific role as well. I mean, they do. That's what Eze would have been, probably the playmaker through the middle, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you kind of look at who specifically Eze, and they brought in Kudus, who is obviously a phenomenal player and played well in their opener as well. But they need a winger, man. They need to replace not only
Son.
James Maddison but also Son.
Yeah,
that's a huge undertaking, and I feel like again, just trying to think about it from like a Tottenham perspective. You look at Arsenal just took your number one target that you had agreed terms to in 24 hours. They how do you? Like, that's the secondhand embarrassment, man.
Yeah, to lose it that quickly.
Terrible.
See, and right. So now that is where I'd probably be again. If I go back to I'm Daniel Levy, do I want to pay 88 million for Savio? Right, which, if we're being honest, the same thing right now. That if I say I want Rodrygo over Savio, my reason is going to be because I get Savio might get better, but at the moment it's a bit of an unknown quantity, right? If you're defending Savio, you're going to say, Dapt, it's a bit unfair for you to do that because he's an unknown quantity, right? For Daniel Levy, it's the same thing, unknown quantity, right? For 88 million. But this is where Daniel Levy has put himself, that he's fumbled the bag on Morgan Gibbs-White. He's fumbled the bag on Eze now to their rivals. And this is very relevant because football is a PR game, right? He's fumbled the bag to Arsenal, right? Tottenham's fan base are not happy, right?
No, they're
He now needs a marquee signing. From a PR point of view, which Levy is all about that, he knows the game. He now needs a marquee signing. And the fact that the agents are over here acting as intermediaries tells me he really does want him, right? And I think Viana right now might be pulling off an absolute masterclass by just being patient and playing the game.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. The patient aspect of it. It's like I was on a stream with Martin last night, Stateside Blues, and we were talking about how City kind of hold all the cards right now. You know, it's like we are more than happy just keeping Savinho and just keeping put. But at some point, you know, all this stuff about like, why are we getting Donnarumma? Why are we getting Rodrygo? They're not a good fit, blah, blah, blah. I think this late in the window, City are going to look at what market opportunities there are for outgoings and incomings. And it's not necessarily about, in specifically the names we are linked to, Donnarumma and Rodrygo, they're not seen as like oh my God, they're the perfect fit. It's more so just we need to fill a hole if our guys go. And if they don't, then we'll stay put. We don't need the money, you know, but if you want to come in and pay us 80 million or whatever for Savio. And another thing I wanted to go back to was, I'm curious to you, you mentioned that Savio is kind of an unknown commodity. Okay. What to you makes him an unknown commodity?
For me, right. So I think that Savio could be very, very good on the left-hand side.
Okay.
For me, on the right-hand side, based on last season, I just don't think he's got a big enough impact, right? His impact, again, I'll go back to the Bobb thing, and I'm going slightly by eyes. I'm also going by involvement in goals. I'm looking at that because people will tell me that Savio was our most assist player last season. For me, last season is not a benchmark I ever want to use on any player, right? It was low. But if I watch Oscar Bobb, based on the small sample size of Oscar Bobb I'm already preferring him to Savio. However, if Savio is on the left-hand side, that could work. I think that looks good. That's where I still think, like, for me, I like to know things before. Like, my whole thing with Rico Lewis is I've been saying I'd loan Rico Lewis out because I really want to see how good this kid can be in a midfield role, right? And I don't know if we're going to get to see it. With Savio, I would rather say that like, if he does stay, I want to see him on the left, so I can, if we do sell him, go, do you know what he didn't work on the left, then we actually keep him and don't use him on the left. So I'm not mad if we don't sell Savio, but if we keep him, I want to see him given a chance on that left-hand side.
Okay, so let me follow up that question with another question. If we were to switch Savio's assist numbers with his goal numbers last season, would you say that he was a known commodity?
What a phenomenal question.
Because you're
right.
He had 1 goal, 8 assists. Okay, I don't know. I think this is just in the league last season.
Yeah, that's just in the league.
Yeah. So if he had 8 goals and 1 assist, would you say that he was still an unknown commodity?
You got me.
Then,
8 goals first season, just in the league. I'd be going, not a bad. You're right.
That's probably better than most of the wingers we signed outside of maybe like Sterling. I don't remember what the actual stats. And then kind of digging deeper into that question. And the reason why I'm doing this is because whoever's watching, I just want the narrative about Savio to be accurate. If we're talking about unknown commodity, the guy he started 35 games for Girona, and he had 19 GA, and he drove them to a Champions League spot. This is Girona we're talking about. He was their starting left winger as a 19-year-old. So Vinicius couldn't do that. Rodrygo couldn't do that. Mbappe wasn't. Oh, maybe Mbappe at Monaco. He was a young phenom. So, but this is what I'm talking about. If we're putting him in comparison with these world-class players, and I think the understanding of Savio and of Doku and our younger players has to be it has to be not comparing to Mahrez at his peak. He's never going to be Mahrez because we didn't sign him thinking that he's going to be Mahrez. We signed him knowing that he's a 19-year-old. He has time to develop. So if you're going to compare him to them, it's not really accurate, and it's also not fair because one simple switch of perception of switch the goals with assists, and all of people are saying he's world class. It's like, what if he's assisting 8 goals versus scoring 8 goals? What's the difference collectively? We're scoring 8 goals as a team, and it's directly contributing to us winning, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I feel like the narrative around Savio is something that I've been kind of frustrated with because I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he has the highest ceiling out of all of our wingers, and not mentioning Oscar Bobb because I'm not necessarily sure if he's a winger per se, but in terms of Doku and even like Phil to a certain degree, I feel like Savio at his peak, he could be a better winger. And I don't really see Phil necessarily as a winger long term. I would personally like to play him on the wing just because I think that's where he fits best in the context of our team right now. But yeah, and in terms of us letting him go, man, he doesn't have enough credit for me to lose sleep over him leaving. He's basically Ferran Torres.
Yeah.
Great player.
Oh, really good comparison with Ferran Torres.
Yeah,
actually.
It's like he's not Julian Alvarez. He's not.
The only thing you might say is Ferran Torres' first season had more impact. I can't remember when Ferran was playing because Aguero was injured. I think Ferran was bagging a bit, wasn't he? He's playing he's playing more of a central role, but it is a good comparison. And based on that, that's where I am a little bit with the mentality thing. That I do remember at that point with Ferran Torres, I was a bit confused because it was like. Because think back to when Ferran Torres left us, Barcelona were in the mud, right? And I can imagine Pep thinking, sorry, you want to leave this team that are trying to do what we're doing at the moment, trying to do back-to-back leagues, it would have been at that point, I think. You want to leave this team to go to a Barcelona that at the moment are in the mud. Okay, no problem. And I don't know if maybe with Savio, if it has been Savio that's kind of shown a keenness towards this move, then in that case, I don't know if maybe that might be Pep's view on this one as well, that if you want to leave Man City to go to Tottenham right now, then maybe your reasoning is not suited to this club. Now, there are other reasons. It's World Cup season. Does he prefer playing on the left or the right? I don't know. Does he? Because I've been told mixed things. I've been told by some people he prefers the left. I've been told by others he prefers the right. The numbers show that he's far better on the left than he is the right. At Girona, he was very, very, very. I'm not going to say world class, but he's very good on the left hand side. And what we've seen at City so far, he does look good on the left hand side. From a Rodrygo point of view, right? Because it's come out today that. Apparently, Rodrygo said he's happy at Barcelona and he wants to stay there. Now, at this point, I no longer know what to believe. if you are currently a player, sorry, did I say Barcelona? I meant Real Madrid. I don't know if I did say Barcelona, but you know who I mean. If you're at Real Madrid, right? You don't say that you want to leave a club until you've left that club, right? If you come out and say you're unhappy and you want to leave Real Madrid, at the weekend, if you are, even on the bench, it's a long day for you, right? If you have to see the chairman in the corridor, it is a long day for you. As an institute, and furthermore, they're the type of club that would probably play games that if you say you want to leave, Mr. Perez will probably go, well, you're fucking staying now and you're sitting on the bench. Literally. I'm not saying he does want to leave, by the way. I'm saying I really don't know what to think now, because if you get in his head, you'd think he would want to go and get game time elsewhere, right? But at the same time, maybe he's just a player that's happy to sit on the bench, collect his money. I don't think he can think that he's going to get in that team too much, because if we go by if we go by all of the Club World Cup, all of their friendlies, and now the opening game of the season, he's not getting a sniff. He's not getting a look in. But I don't know. I think that one it all rests on Savio, right? All rests on Savio.
No, just adding some context. Rodrygo, when he was 20 years old, he had 8 GA for Real Madrid in 33 appearances.
Right.
Okay. Mahrez, in his first season for City, had 11 GA.
Yep.
Okay. Raheem Sterling, and Mahrez was also 27. Raheem Sterling, in his first season for City, was 20 years old, and he had 8 GA in the league. Okay. Savio, in his first season for City, and you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Had 9. He had 9 GA.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Riyad Mahrez, Premier League Player of the Year. We're talking about Rodrygo, world-class winger, Real Madrid. We're talking about Raheem Sterling, our most prolific goal-scoring winger of all time. They're all either under, on par, or maybe above by 1 GA by Savio in his first season. And Savio is younger than all of them, bar Mahrez.
I hear it. And Chris, I see your comment in the chat saying, by the way, Chris, just quickly, there's 2 things. Firstly, you said this earlier. Dapside Test said Nico G was bad. But I've addressed this about 3 times, and you're the first person to actually pull me up on it. But I've already addressed it about 3 times. I was wrong, bro. I'm fine with being wrong about things. I watch football with a drink in my hand. So sometimes I don't see things. I was wrong on that. But what you're saying this, right? Because this is my view a bit, right? Okay, let's put the club on hold so Savio can get good, right? What the fuck is this logic? And Chris, there is a part of me that is backing you on this one, right? Because we're going into a season where I think we need players at their best now, right? I hate Liverpool. I make it so clear. I don't want Liverpool ever retaining the trophy, right? So this is not just about us winning the Premier League. This is about stopping Liverpool from winning the league, right? But I also do hear what Sheikh is saying, that we're not saying let's give Savio forever, right?
No,
we're saying,
of course not.
Right? What I think what he's saying is, look, first season Mahrez, first season Sterling weren't great, but what were their second seasons like, right? Now, all love as well, Chris. All love, always, always. I want people to comment, bro. Don't worry, I don't take anything personally like that. So, love.
No, it's a very valid comment. It's like, and just so I can address Chris directly, I'm not saying that I don't want good players. Like last week on our episode, I said Rodrygo to me seems like one of those players that you bring him and you figure it out. I don't really care about the tactics. He's good enough where let's figure it out. But with Savio, I feel like the narrative has gotten skewed a little bit to make it seem like he's some terrible player, when in reality, he's a 20-year-old that has an abundance of quality, and he just didn't really find his shooting boots in his first season. And it's not that different from the rest of the players we've got. So, like, at what point did we all of a sudden become a club that just discards players after one season? Wasn't it always that we give a player one season under Pep?
Yeah, we did. It did used to be that. Yeah, fully.
Yeah, so if we have him, we have Phil, we have Turkey, we have Bobb who's breaking out. It's like, can we afford to have a Savio whose stocks could not be lower from last season, goal scoring wise? Imagine he scores 6 goals, 5 goals. Anything he does this season is an upgrade on the goals he didn't score last season. I don't think he's going to score less than 1 goal for us, or 2 goals, or whatever it is. And I feel like he's going to assist more. Yeah. So, I just don't think that he's as bad as people are saying. And I feel like if we were to keep him, it's also not as bad as people are saying. Obviously, if Rodrygo comes, that's great too. We'll figure it out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. See, my whole thing is just, if we do keep him, I want to see him on the left. Alternatively, and this is the other thing I'll say with Savio, right, is I feel like I watched Savio change last season, sadly for the worst, right? And I think that came with everything that was going on at the club yesterday, last year, not yesterday.
Tough season,
because when he first started, right, he started with all the confidence, but the thing that I really liked about him that was a bit of a breath of fresh air at first was his decision making, right? That it wasn't always get to the byline. It wasn't always cut in, right? It wasn't always shoot. It wasn't never shoot, right? It was very balanced. And I liked that, right? Especially for his age. But then as the season started to take a dip, and remember, he hadn't scored, right? It felt like, and players were getting injured, it then felt like there was this pressure on him. Look, you're a winger, bro. What are you contributing right now? Because you're not getting assists, you're not linking up with Haaland, you're not getting goals. And all of a sudden, I watched it change from his decision-making being the way it started to all of a sudden, it started swinging a little bit towards a desperation to get a goal, right?
Pressure.
That at a young age, that happens to... I really think that used to happen with Gabriel Jesus, right? And like, if you think when Gabriel Jesus first arrived at Manchester City, he came in the door as a young kid, right? And that first 5 months, he was phenomenal, right?
Yeah, he benched Aguero for a bit.
Yeah. No time to think, bagging goals. Probably if you actually did a goals to game ratio, I would imagine that first 5 months for him was probably his most prolific period, right?
Yeah, okay.
But then he got the injury, right? And then from that point, everything just seemed a lot more. And whenever he did get the chance, then it was kind of like, oh, you're not scoring enough goals. Now, weirdly, when he got pushed out wide and the pressure was off him, he was no longer seen as a 9. It was, he started bagging again, right? Because the pressure was removed from him. You're a winger now. Your job is not to get the goals. There's someone else in the middle. Your job is to be, I think it was Ferran Torres in the middle. We were playing Gabriel Jesus on the right. And Jesus seemed to come alive again. I don't know if that could be it with Savio as well. Not always cut inside and shoot. That was so frustrating last season. Now, the other thing you would say with Savio is straight away with Rijnders, that pressure for Savio to get goals lessens. Mm-hmm. Because Rijnders...
I feel like it's the same thing we said about Bernardo, and just in general, the collective looks so much better. And I feel like coming into a dysfunctional environment, and also it's not even just the team. It's like, dude, his head wasn't fully in it. And not by any fault of his own. He was going through personal stuff, his contract was about to expire. There was a lot of shit going on last season that just made everything kind of difficult for it to click. And the thing Pep said about, he went like this, he said, that thing that you feel in training, that little magic, that feeling of togetherness. And like, you can't quantify that. You can't manufacture that. It's either there or it's not. And the fact that Pep says it's back makes me so freaking excited.
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit to a certain degree. I don't really buy into the whole like Savio wants to leave. I think there's a difference between him being open to leaving and him wanting to leave. And he hasn't outright said, like Alexander Isak putting out a statement saying that promises have been broken. If he did that, stone him, put him out on the curb. But as of right
he
now,
hasn't.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think as well, we're just talking on that, the camaraderie that kind of seemed to build from the, I want to say the Club World Cup. I'm going to call it a tour at this point, right? Because I feel like that's how, I feel like it makes me feel better about myself, but I also think maybe that's how City treated it a little bit. That they treated it. Pep spoke about how it was like there was a lot more time for training, right? And for, this rebuild, for all these new players to settle in. Now, what I think is really important with that, because then we went and lost to Al Hilal. And my problem was, right? Because, everyone looks forward to a holiday with your mates, but when the holiday ends, and you have to come home and you're hanging, right? You go on a downer. Can you pick yourself back up to go again, right? Now, that's where I think it's important that since we've been back, if you think about it, we beat Palermo 3-0. Was it 3-0, Palermo? Pretty certain it was. Was it 3-0? Mm-hmm. And then we beat, was it 3-0 or 2-0? Sure, it's 3-0. Yeah, it was 3-0.
It was 3-0,
We
yeah.
beat Palermo. We beat Palermo 3-0, and then we beat Wolves 4-0. So that whole team spirit, that confidence that we seem to be getting back into in the summer, it looks like it's carried on. If we would have, not performed very well in either of those two games, conceded goals, maybe even lost or dropped points, then it would have been a different thing, right? Like, as for an example right now, Man United looked quite good against Arsenal. They lost. Manchester United can play Fulham at the weekend. If they look good but don't win, Manchester United are back in trouble, right? It's all great looking good, but if you are not winning games, your mentality, your confidence can very quickly drop again. At the moment, I think we're going into this Tottenham game probably quite confident. Tottenham are without Son. He's always been a nightmare to us. I don't believe Kulusevski's back yet. He's always been pretty damn good against us. And, there was worries they might have had Eze against us. Well, they ain't got Eze now. So I think it's probably quite a good time to play Spurs. Thomas Frank, I rate highly as a manager. But,
very good.
And you know what? They did look quite good against Burnley, but how good are Burnley? I guess you can say the same, how good are Wolves? But no, I think it's probably, and it's our first home game. So how are you feeling going into the Wolves game? The Spurs game? Are you confident or?
I wouldn't say I'm confident, but I feel comfortable, to a certain. I feel like even outside of the Savinho stuff, the team should be ready. It's like this is going to sound kind of disrespectful, but if last weekend was a tune-up game, teams do this all the time. They play lower opposition to tune up, and I feel like Savinho wasn't part of that at all. Neither was Ederson. So the two players that are potentially leaving weren't a part of that. Where my concern would be is, and this might sound a little harsh, it's like Ederson coming straight back in and starting. I'm not okay with that.
Has that been confirmed?
Well, he's apparently back in training, and Pep said that if he's there and he's fit, then he's playing. And I would be kind of pissed. I wouldn't really. If he's trying to leave and Trafford played well last week, and also we're looking to bring in Donnarumma, I know that I've said let them compete and whatnot. I feel like Trafford has earned the next start by merit.
Facts.
And that's probably my only concern in terms of Bobb and hopefully Phil is back, Guardiola is back. It's like I feel good. I feel like the team is in a good place, and I feel like the camaraderie and the chemistry and all of that was on full display last weekend. And I honestly don't think that Tottenham. I don't think they can beat us. I just don't.
No,
I don't think. Maybe I'll end up eating my words again. I don't think they're better than us. I really don't.
So it's going to be. Yeah, I can't lie. If Ederson, I agree with you, Chris. If Ederson starts, for me, that is. You know what? This transfer window is a mad transfer window. But
it's so crazy, dude.
If Ederson ends up starting this game, I don't know what's going. I mean, who knows? Ortega might fucking start, right? But it would be weird, with everything that's going on. And the other reason I would say is that the one thing we do know with Ederson, we always speak about it, is how of an emotional person he is, and how we've seen, remember when he got injured against Spurs, had to come off, threw a tantrum. It's like, bro, you're injured, right? You have to come off. And then then got upset and felt down because he couldn't win the league with City. Ortega came in for the last couple of games. I get why he was upset. But at the same time, it's like, bro, this is not a personal attack on you in any way. You're injured, right? But it kind of shows that sometimes Eddie's head can be, he's a complicated guy and he overthinks things, right? So right now, with everything going on with Ederson, I just don't think it's a good time to be playing him. Because
I agree.
His head's not going to. We don't know where he's going to be. Galatasaray don't seem to know if they want him or not. Apparently, Galatasaray are in for still. Well, apparently, it's just while we've been live, bro. It's been tweeted. I don't know if you saw that. Apparently, Akanji is weighing up his options. What do you think on that? Him and Ake, just quickly out of those two. Because I think they're both being
I would like to keep Ake if possible. You know, the homegrown thing is one
I'm
thing.
same as that,
Yeah, but I also feel like if Ake goes, then someone else has to fill in at left back, and I would prefer that to be Ake. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think Gvardiol should move back to left back, and I think Nico O'Reilly shouldn't be used there unless it's a dire emergency. Not that he was bad last season, more so that I would like to continue seeing him in midfield. You know, like let him play the position he wants to play.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, Akanji, I really appreciate Akanji a lot. I think that for his price, the fact that he played most out of any defender during our treble season, he's more than warranted what we paid for him and everything. But I think at this point, I think he's the most expendable out of our defenders, and I feel like even if he goes, that leaves us with 5 senior center backs. You know, Ruben Diaz, Jessica Gvardiol, like I think Kusano, Stones, and Ake. That's 5, and I feel like that you can say that Stones and Ake are unreliable. They're going to get injured, but unfortunately, you know, that's not how boards operate.
Yeah, you can't have squads of 7 players. Yeah, you can't.
They don't assume that injury. Like it's one thing to say we don't have a backup for Rodri, so we need to sign one. It's another thing to have backups and say we need backups for the backups because the backups are going to get injured. You know?
Yeah.
It's a little overkill. So
no, and we've got the fact they do have that Vitor Hayes in the contract that we can pull him back. For me, I'm with you. Look, I think there's no so I think
Vitor maybe no, not right now. We have 5 center backs.
You look at Jack, and I think the club have played down the Everton rumours and said, you know, these aren't true. But then I've seen from other outlets that they might be. I get it, right? Because Jack Grealish and Nathan Ake on the left-hand side were quality. Now, if you're Everton and you're looking at that, yeah, you'd want a bit of that. I also think Nathan Ake is a bit of a David Moyes type player as well. But I don't want Ake to go for me.
No,
I think Ake's mint, man. I think Ake's an unsung hero for this City team. And by the way, I do get what you're saying about Akanji treble season. I actually had this when it got linked yesterday on Instagram. Someone had put up, one of the big City accounts had put up a picture of Akanji in a Galatasaray shirt saying, and I dared to take a look in the comments, and I was going to give my opinion. And then when I saw the comments said I was going to give my opinion on this, but I'm not going to because of some of the comments I'm reading here are just mad. What I will say is, what I will say is, if he goes, thank you for 3 years. The first year was special, right? And then someone straight away was like to me, Daps, he's been there for more than 1 year. I said, I know. And they said, so why are you talking about his first year? I said, his first year was special, right?
Yeah.
And they said, well, I don't really think it was special. I said, for me, for a player to come into a league that he's never played in before, right? It's a 5th choice centre-back, costing only, I think, round about 12 or 14 million, and then end up being one of the most played players in the team, having to, again, come as a player that was not a John Stones type role and being asked to do the John Stones type role and also play right back. For me, and also being part of a whole unit that won a treble, that's a special season for me, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where, for me, I only need one season like that for me to never want to disrespect a player as a City player, right? That he's part of a legendary Manchester City team. That team will never be forgot about, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I always remember that night, right, where we looked at the team sheet. I can't remember who it was we were playing, but I will remember it was a night game. It might have been in the Champions League. But we looked at the team sheet and we saw 4 centre-backs on the team sheet. And we're like, what the fuck? Pep is playing 4 centre-backs. But those 4 centre-backs went on to win us a treble. And Akanji was one of them. So, yeah, but I do think probably the right time for him to go. But the problem is Galatasaray. And if it is this is a problem with Galatasaray. They seem to be all talk, but no bids.
Yeah, so I was talking to some Turkish friends on Twitter, and they said that this is kind of just how they do business. Like it just takes an eternity for them to get anything done. I don't know I don't know if that was just them being dramatic, but apparently that's how things are. But overall, I think in general, anytime a player leaves, especially someone that has contributed as much as Akanji has to literally our greatest team in the history of the club, I'm gonna remember him fondly. Yeah, he was frustrating, but we didn't buy him to be a $100 million or £100 million world class, and he ended up becoming an undroppable starter at one point. So how can you not appreciate the guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? Just last thing I would say I know we've gone over, sorry, but the one thing I would say with, like, let's say with Akanji, with Ederson, I'm going to say with Gundogan, with Kovacic, that all of those players, right, have contributed a lot, right? Now, could all of those players stay and still contribute this season? Yes, I think all of them could.
Of course.
However, with the way we're going at the moment, with the rebuild, with the mood at the club, maybe now is the right, and the fact of when it is that I think now is probably the right time for most of those to go. Maybe I can see Gundogan not going because I still think Gundogan off the bench, but I think Kovacic is going to end up going as well, by the way. I think he's going to end up in Saudi. Yeah, I think he will.
Wow. Okay. I actually think the opposite. I think Gundogan is going to end up leaving and Kovacic will stay.
Right. Which one makes more sense from a on the pitch point of view? What you said. For me, Kovacic last 2 seasons has been one of our best players, right?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, like it's an awkward conversation that no one on Twitter ever wants to have. But Kovacic last season for me was probably our second best player behind Vardy. And even the season before, I think for his first season at City, he was damn good, right? I mean,
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're saying this. I love some Kovacic.
Bro, it's the one role I fucking adore. That and the back end of that treble season, 4-peat season, right? The season that Rodri won the Ballon d'Or, in fact, for.
Yeah.
The back end of that season, Kovacic was Rodri's legs. Because by that point, by kind of like March time, Rodri was really fucking tired. And Kovacic is a ball carrier. And that's what Kovacic was doing. He's a water boy, ultimately, but a damn good water boy that's so press resistant. And I think Kovacic needs more praise. Like, he should get more praise. But I do think, I have a sneaky feeling that he will end up going to Saudi.
That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either. We have enough players. We do. But at the end of the day, I think maybe I'm getting sentimental in my old age. I don't really have. With Kovacic, more so than like he needs more praise. I just wish people didn't hate on him so much. Same. He's a decent player. Just let him be.
Well, this is my shout out, LB and everyone raiding. Please smash up the likes, everyone that's come over from LB's channel. Do you know what? That's the one thing that I said this at the start of my watch along the other day. Me going into this season, right? I am going to judge every single player and speak on it based on that game, right? So if Bernardo Silva has a bad game, I will speak on it, right?
Yeah.
But if Bernardo Silva has a good game, I'm not going to pinpoint the one mistake he made, right? And hang him out to dry based on that, right?
Like you said, when he lost possession against
Wolves. Like when he lost a possession. Right. Yeah. And the thing is, the reason why I say it is because during the game, he lost possession, right? And Diaz lost possession. And people straight away in the comments were telling me, Daps, that was Diaz. Daps, that was Bernardo Silva. I watched Rijnders lose the ball, and not one person told me, Daps, that was Rijnders that lost that ball. And it was like, all right, come on, let's be fair, man. Let's call a circle a circle. Let's call a spade, whatever the terminology is. But yeah, it's I just want us to be fair. And Kovacic for me over the last 2 years is probably the one. I think the one thing with Kovacic that hasn't got it right is that if we're talking about Gundogan, we're talking about De Bruyne, we're talking about Bernardo Silva. They are, even if we're talking about Diaz to a certain extent, these are players that have won everything with us, right? They were part of that, they've won the lot. Whereas with Kovacic, he's only been here 2 years. So people don't talk about how good he's been for those 2 years. They'd rather just kind of say, he's an uncle. When again, really and truly with Kovacic, if you look at it last season, Kovacic didn't show any uncle attributes. Not one, right? Not one. He just got wrapped in it because it's like, well, you've got a 3 in your age as well, so we're going to put you in the uncle, when he was never that. But there you go. There's some Kovacic praise. Right. You got any other shows coming up this week? I see you're doing a little bit more, which is good for the YouTube world and good for the Sheikh mind.
I'm going to be doing the Stateside Blues every Wednesday evening with Martin, Horsey City, Mancunian Way. And just to add a little bit of fuel to the fire, Rijnders lost possession 16 times that game. Okay, Bernardo lost possession 9 times.
There we go.
So
and this is the thing.
Let's keep it in perspective,
And this is the thing, people, if you're a Rijnders fanboy, right, be careful what you say about Bernardo, yeah? Because we don't want to have to come out protecting Bernardo with stats.
No. I don't want to do this, but I got to defend my boy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, do you know what? Once I needed somebody to be a witness for me, right? And somebody went to them and said, look, would you be a witness? Would you back Jordan and be a witness for Jordan in this situation? And they said, I won't back Jordan, but I will say what I saw. Right? What he saw was going to back me, but it wasn't he was saying it just to back me. He was just presenting the facts. And what you want to do with the facts is up to you. Right, but I'm going to let you go because I know I've kept you for way, way, way longer. But appreciate it a lot. Really good show. And for anyone watching this, I know that on the channel, we have different types of shows. And we have different personalities. Some of you like some personalities, some of you don't. Some of you like me, some of you don't. Some of you like the type of shows that we do at times and not so. So those that watched, a bit of mayhem last night with Hamza, we also do have shows like this every Thursday with the Sheikh. Where we and it's nice to not talk transfers too much, to actually talk a bit more football. Do you know what? I've had this before. Maybe that's why I'm giving him so much props. Fuck it. Yeah, I'm giving Kovacic props for that reason. Right. People, one thing I would like, just if you want to go and watch it, go and watch it. If you don't, Sport Bible have just released a Would You Rather. It's got myself, it's got Big Steve, it's got Boovy, it's got Esteemed Company, and it's got MCFC lads on it. It's been got released at 5:00. Martin saying I had a stinker. I got asked, Daps, would you rather? So loads of different questions, and some of them are mad. One of them, bro, this one was mental. Yeah, this one was horrible, right? Right. So, would you rather have a child and they're a red, or would you rather not have a child at all?
Oh my God, bro! What a question.
Oh, I know, and I was like, I've got a daughter. I can't. Sorry. So I've got a daughter. My daughter's not into football, so I'm fine. If my daughter turns around tomorrow and says, "Daddy, I support Man United," then I'll be like, I mean, she never would, to be fair, because she tells everyone, well, because of my dad, I'm sick. But if she did do that, I'd go, she's not into football, right? But then I ended up switching at one point as well, because I was like, no, actually, because if I had a kid and they told me they were red, then I'd probably be going to their mum and saying, I want a test, because that can't be my child. But anyway, go and watch it now. The other one that Martin said I had a stinker on was you get to keep Rodri for 2 more years at Ballon d'Or level, right? So you don't sell Rodri, he stays, and it is Ballon d'Or Rodri for 2 years, right? Or you sell Haaland and Diaz.
I don't like this question.
I went with sorry, sell Haaland and Diaz. If I'm getting Ballon d'Or Rodri, I'm keeping Ballon d'Or Rodri for 2 years. Give me 2 years of that. But it's good, man. Go and check it out. What would you do? Rodri Ballon d'Or for 2 years, or Haaland and Diaz?
Listen, I think it's as harsh as this sound. It's not really Diaz that's holding me up. It's Haaland. Diaz can go. But I feel like Haaland is. I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. If we're talking about Rodri, I feel like we can.
We won leagues without. I mean, we've won leagues without everyone, so I can't really use that one. We
also saw what happened when Rodri went down last year. Everything fell apart.
Yeah.
You know, so I probably have to agree with you, man. I would probably say 2 years of Ballon d'Or Rodri, or giving up the next 10 of Haaland. You're saying?
Yeah. No.
God,
or giving up the next 10 of Haaland. That was what they were saying to me. They were basically saying to me. Yeah, they were saying to me the whole Daps, you got 10 years of Haaland, and whereas Rodri, you're only going to have a few more years. But these are the type
I need a little
questions.
bit more context than that. I need to are we guaranteed to win another UCL?
There were loads, and some of them are quite funny. They might not have, because they will have edited it some, right? But they were all questions like this, which are basically going to be this one or this one, right? And you have to pick one or two. And it's supposed to be difficult. But then, like, there were some that they thought were difficult, and then we were like,
too obvious.
Like, for example, they go, right, so you've got a choice. Go back a couple of years. You've got a choice. Keep Foden or keep Cole Palmer and sell Foden, right? Nah, we all just went to Foden.
Foden.
Because it's like we're talking 1 year v 1 year. But right, anyway, sorry, I'm keeping you for too long. Please go and check that out, people. And tomorrow, I will be potentially doing a show in the morning, but I'm flying out to Marrakesh tomorrow. So if I don't do a show, I will be doing an upload tomorrow. But then Big Steve and MCFC lads will be live on here at 4 p.m. Friday afternoon. So same channel. Please smash a like on the way out. Please subscribe. Sheikh, thank you very much for joining me. And we are out. And people, I'm going to keep playing this one because, in fact, no, I'm going to play this one. We're out. Peace.
Between in the car park. Big circles. Years ago, when you used to make them big circles and some fucker be Bobby popping in the middle of the circle and that. Everyone be clapping. They're doing it at Old Trafford. They're getting beat off shit teams. Then they come out and there's Seamus from Ireland swinging in the fucking car park and they're all laughing it up.
It's embarrassing. You know what? For once, I'm actually going to agree.